The following examples have been created using records from Microsoft's AdventureWorks database. This data represents information about a fictitious bicycle manufacturing company named AdventureWorks. Key parts of that data have been extracted from the main database and placed into Excel spreadsheets for simple handling. Before we get started, remember that ChatGPT can be wrong. Always verify its analysis data. With that said, let's find out how our bicycle business is doing. In the first scenario, I want to find the popular products that have the highest payoff. The file I am using is vwproductsalessummary.xlsx. This is extracted directly from the AdventureWorks database using an export function. The sheet contains a few different columns, including the product name, cost, quantity sold, and the average price at which the sales were made. Notice that the names of the columns on this and the upcoming reports are not necessarily standard, but any one of our own coworkers probably know what we were talking about when we go over this. Overall, this sheet contains 5 columns and 266 lines. Each line represents the sale quantities for a unique product. Let's bring up ChatGPT to find our list of products with the highest payoff in this sheet. Click the paperclip icon in the text box to upload the file we were just talking about. Next, type the prompt. Hello ChatGPT. From the attached spreadsheet, will you please create a list for me containing the 5 highest profiting products in the list? Press Enter or click the up arrow button to submit the query. The results it provided are all complete mountain bike model 200 products in either black or silver, and in the wheel sizes 38, 42, and 46, respectively. I verified in the background to see whether these figures were correct, and they checked out fine. However, even though sometimes ChatGPT will explain some of the steps it takes to answer your question as it goes along, this time it didn't. So I'll just ask, will you please explain how you came to that conclusion? ChatGPT then described the procedure it used to find the answers for us. First, it loaded the data into something it called a data frame, which allowed it to examine and manipulate my data. Next, it checked to make sure it could understand the structure of the data I had sent to it. Third, it created a new column of its own named Profit. In each row, it first subtracted the cost from the average unit price, then multiplied that answer by the quantity sold to correctly represent the profit for the item. Fourth, the rows were sorted in reverse by the value of the new profit column to reveal the highest values at the top. Then last, the first 5 items from the sorted list, along with their associated profit values, were displayed to the viewer. In the next example, we want to find out which products need to be reordered, but I also want to know the best vendors from which to get those items. Anytime you work with any more than just a few vendors, it can be a complete nightmare trying to keep inventory and suppliers straight. I intend to clean up the purchasing system as soon as possible, but right now, I just have to get some parts on hand so we can finish and deliver a couple more bicycles by the end of the week. For this, I have an Excel spreadsheet named Product and Vendors.xlsx containing 2 different kinds of information. On the sheet VW Product on Hand is an inventory of 432 separate items. Each item has a reordering limit and a current quantity on hand, as well as other common information. On the second sheet, VW Active Vendors per Product, we have a history of all 443 orders that have been placed with different vendors for each product that has gone through the shop. The main columns from that sheet I expect will be useful are product ID and vendor name, although other columns could be picked up by ChatGPT. First, I'll upload the Product and Vendors XLSX file. Next, I'll ask the question, Hi ChatGPT. From the attached spreadsheet, will you please create a list of the products I need to reorder, along with the name of the best vendor for each? The products are listed on the sheet VW Product on Hand, and the vendors per product item history is located on the sheet VW Active Vendors per Product. If a vendor cannot be found for a product, please list that item as Find New Vendor. ChatGPT correctly identified all of the columns on both of the sheets of the spreadsheet file. Without any previous explanation, it also understood that the value of the reorder point column was the quantity at or below which product should be reordered. Based on that advanced level of understanding, it signaled to me that it was going to filter the products to items where quantity on hand was less than or equal to the reorder point. It then informed me that it would find the best vendor based on the lowest standard price. Although it could have easily been decided that a faster lead time or even some combination of factors was important when making this decision, lowest price is a typical tactic, and I hadn't given it any other specific goals in that area. ChatGPT correctly selected the 8 products that were at or below their reordering limits and selected the lowest cost vendor for each, except one that had not yet been purchased in the past, to which it correctly marked that the item required a new vendor.